Let's check in with where things are at on the campaign trail this morning. Olivia Casely is travelling with the Prime Minister. She is in Adelaide, and Tom Crowley is following the opposition leader Peter Dutton. He is up in Brisbane. Good morning to you both. Olivia, to you first. What's the Prime Minister hoping to achieve there in Adelaide today?
Well, as you can probably see, we're currently on the Labor campaign bus rolling through the seats of Adelaide, and it's here that the government does hope that its signature $10 billion housing policy really cuts through. Anthony Albanese announcing yesterday that a re-elected government would construct 100,000 new homes exclusively for the purchase of first home buyers. Federal Labor yesterday was pointing to the fact that there's been a similar scheme rolled out right here in South Australia, so I wouldn't be surprised if while we're out on the campaign trail we do speak to some happy recipients of that program. This is all about appealing to millennial and Gen Z voters who will be the biggest voter bloc at this election, and they've really been locked out of the housing market due to affordability issues. When it comes to the reaction to this policy, it has been mixed. Some economists do have some concern that it could actually drive up housing prices.
And Olivia, why is the PM targeting South Australia? There's not a whole lot of seats there, but he did look increasingly confident at yesterday's campaign launch.
Yeah, there are two key seats at play in South Australia. That's Boothby, held on a slim margin by Labor, and also Sturt, which is a traditional Liberal stronghold. Anthony Albanese has already been to Adelaide this campaign. He announced $150 million for a health centre in Boothby. So I'm thinking it's more likely we go to Sturt today. Labor sources certainly tell me that they're pretty hopeful that they can turn this seat red. It's currently held by James Stephens, and we'll remember that it used to be the seat held by Liberal heavyweight Christopher Pyne.
All right, Olivia, we are going to head to Tom now, who is up in Brisbane for us. Tom, I think there'll be some people waking up this morning thinking, gee, there was a bid announced yesterday around housing, particularly on the coalition side of things. Can you just take us through what is actually being proposed for people who might have missed those announcements yesterday?
A tax deduction for paying your mortgage, James, that's pretty much the basic thing that you need to know. Only if you're a first home buyer, only on the interest payments, not the whole thing, and crucially, only if you buy a newly built home. That is what the Coalition is using to argue that this won't push up housing prices. It might be putting more money in people's pockets, but they say it'll also encourage new housing to be built. Fair to say there are quite a few economists who are very sceptical about that. They say that this, combined with the Coalition's Super for Housing policy, putting a lot of money into the housing market, might further push up prices. But for Peter Dutton, it's all about the fact that that money is going to first home buyers. That it's almost a buzz phrase, the first home buyer. Both sides targeting that group very, very heavily.
And Tom, the Dutton camp obviously in Brisbane there. Queensland's a pretty strong state for the LNP. There are still a few seats around Brisbane, though, that might change hands. What do you think the Coalition will be focusing on today?
Yes, well, there are really three different ways they might go, James. A bit of electorate bingo here in Brisbane. They could go to the Green seats, first of all. If you're talking about housing, the seats of Brisbane and Ryan, they've got a lot of young renters, a lot of people hoping to get into the housing market. So that might be one place the Liberal campaign can go if it wants to be on the offensive. Could also target some of the Labor seats of Moreton or Lilly. They're a little bit more of a long shot for the Coalition, but you do sometimes hear them talk about it. So maybe if he really wants to show he's beginning this crucial third week in the run-up to early voting, putting the pressure on Labor, that might be where he goes. But this is a state where the Coalition holds most of the seats, and so we might well see Peter Dutton on the defensive. We saw yet more polling dropping overnight, showing that he's in a bit of a tough position at the moment. He's got ground to gain, heading into this final week. Maybe he will head to his own electorate, marginal electorate at Dixon. That would be a sign. Politicians will never tell you that they pay too much attention to the opinion polls, but if he goes there, it might be a sign that they think they're in a bit of trouble with a bit of catching up to do.
Yeah, that will be interesting. All right, Tom and Olivia, thanks for your time this morning.
I want to take you to some breaking news coming in this morning with news that police have charged a man and a teenager over the unintentional shooting death of a 9-year-old boy in southern New South Wales. Tani Josh has the details for us. Good morning, Tani. Just awful news that's sent shockwaves really across Australia this morning. What do we know about what's happened and what have police said?
Yeah, good morning, Bridget. Well, after a police investigation, they have now charged 2 people, including a 33-year-old man and a 14-year-old boy. Now, the 14-year-old boy, I'll just read out the charges to you, has been charged with possess unauthorised firearm, and the 33-year-old has been charged with allow unauthorised person to possess firearm and not keep firearms safely. Now, this all comes after emergency services were called to a property in Windelamar, near Goulburn, south of New South Wales at around 11:20 a.m. yesterday morning, and police were told that a 9-year-old boy had been shot after a firearm had accidentally been discharged. And so when paramedics arrived at the scene, they found the 9-year-old boy suffering serious neck injuries, and while they tried to save him, he unfortunately died at the property. Now, the 33-year-old and the 14-year-old are expected to face court this week. Meanwhile, the police are preparing a report for the coroner.
All right, thanks very much, Tani, for that update on that awful story from southern New South Wales. Yeah.
Now, you will have noticed if you're just joining us that we are broadcasting live from Perth on the banks of the beautiful Swan River. The sun is just rising. The mozzies are starting to take a little bit of a nibble as well, but we're going to persist. But for the moment, we are going to take you back to the studio for all the latest news headlines.
Thanks, James and Bridget. Police are investigating a 3-vehicle crash that's claimed the life of a woman and injured 10 others in Brisbane's north overnight. Police say initial investigations suggest a van crashed into the 2 vehicles from behind on the Gympie Arterial Road at Bald Hills. 3 people have been taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries and 7 others are in a stable condition. A new study is blaming faddish and inconsistent teaching practices for declining maths results. The Grattan Institute wants an annual $152 million investment for 10 years to be spent on better supporting educators, ensuring uniformity of teaching and catch-up sessions for kids who fall behind. Federal election candidates and elected officials have been sharing content from a publication that regularly publishes articles promoting white supremacist and neo-Nazi ideologies. The Noticer runs white supremacist content alongside stories lifted from select news sites, a model experts say gives the outlet a veneer of legitimacy. The ABC has found content on the site reposted on social media by candidates for Trumpet of Patriots, One Nation and Liberation parties. The ABC does not suggest that any person or account that shares content from the Noticer endorses or is even aware of the publication's views. The UN says more than 100 people, including 20 children and a medical team, have been killed in a series of strikes on the Western Darfur region of Sudan. The attacks have been blamed on the paramilitary group Rapid Support Forces. The RSF, which has been accused of atrocities in the Darfur region by the UN and rights groups, say the reports are fabricated.